Episode 10, What Jesus Never Asked You to Carry.
Have you ever felt just exhausted by your faith? It's not because following Jesus is supposed to be heavy. It's because so many of us are carrying things he never, ever asked us to. You know, extra rules, that unspoken pressure, this feeling that you constantly have to perform spiritually. It all adds up until faith feels like this crushing weight. So let's unpack exactly why that is.
And this is where it gets really confusing, right? Because on one hand, you have what Jesus actually promised. He said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." But then you look at the reality so many of us are living in. It's constant guilt, it's the pressure to perform, and it's just this deep, soul-level exhaustion. The two just don't match up.
So you gotta ask, right? If what we're feeling is this crushing weight, but that's not what was promised, where did all this extra weight come from? Where did this stuff get piled on?
All right, so let's dig in. We're going to trace this weight all the way back to its origin, because to really get what's happening today, you have to see where it started. And believe me, this pattern, it is not new at all.
You know, what's so fascinating is when you look at who Jesus really went after. His harshest words weren't for the so-called sinners, not even close. They were aimed right at the religious leaders. And why? Because they were the ones creating these heavy, burdensome systems. They were the ones loading people down, adding all these extra layers God never required, and turning simple obedience into this grueling, exhausting performance that nobody could keep up with.
I mean, he said it himself, plain as day. And look, this wasn't just some problem from 2,000 years ago. This is not ancient history. As you're about to see, that exact same pattern is alive and well today, and it's creating the same old burdens.
So what do those heavy loads look like now, today? Well, it's sincere people silently carrying the fear of disappointing their leadership. It's that constant pressure to prove your faith through what you do. It's financial guilt. It's this deep anxiety about stepping out of line. And the end result is always the same, complete exhaustion. And let me be clear, none of it was part of Jesus' invitation.
So how in the world did this become normal, right? How does a faith that's supposed to be about freedom end up feeling like a cage? Well, it's subtle. It creeps in, usually through language that sounds really spiritual, but when you actually look closer, it's not biblical at all.
It starts with phrases that, they sound pretty good on the surface. When the pressure is really on, you might hear something like this, which basically reframes feeling totally burnt out as some kind of badge of honor.
Or how about this one? And hey, that's true, faith does require sacrifice. But that truth gets twisted, doesn't it? It becomes this blanket excuse to justify any and every burden, even the ones Jesus never asked us to carry.
Ooh, this one is a big one. It's so powerful because it basically ties your obedience to God to your unquestioning loyalty to a human system or leader. And what does that create? Fear.
And then there's the classic. This one just shuts down any and all questions. It subtly suggests that the problem isn't the heavy load you're carrying, it's that you're just not strong enough to carry it. And after hearing that enough times, people they stop asking. They stop wondering if the burden was even biblical to begin with.
Okay, so enough about the problem. Let's pivot. Let's talk about the solution because there is one. Let's get back to what Jesus actually invited us into, and spoiler alert, it's an invitation to rest and to freedom.
And man, the contrast couldn't be more clear. On one side, you've got the results of man-made religion, constant strain, chronic anxiety, and total burnout. But on the other side, that's Jesus' real invitation: rest, clarity, freedom. So if your faith journey consistently feels like you're suffocating, that is a huge red flag that something has been added, something that was never supposed to be there.
This is so crucial to get. This is what Jesus invited people into. A freedom that actually transforms you, a clarity that isn't confusing and complicated, and a truth that you could actually look at, examine, and even question, not something you just had to blindly follow.
Okay, so now we get to the best part. Let's talk about permission. I'm talking about the permission to finally put all that weight down and get back on the actual path Jesus laid out for you. And let's be crystal clear about what you can drop right now, today. You are not required to carry manufactured guilt for not doing enough. You're not required to carry an obedience that's based on fear of another person. You can let go of the endless hamster wheel of performance, the financial shame, the dependency on human leadership, and you can for sure let go of the spiritual exhaustion that comes with all of it.
I want you to really hear this. Let it sink in. If the weight you are carrying did not come from Jesus, you are allowed to put it down. period. And it is so important that you understand this. That is not rebellion. That is alignment. When you put down a burden Jesus never gave you, you're actually getting back in line with him. You're returning to the simple, light path he actually created for you.
So, to anyone listening who just feels tired in your faith, just pause for a second. Before you assume the problem is you, consider this. Maybe the exhaustion isn't from walking with Jesus at all. Maybe it's from carrying all these expectations he never, ever authorized. This right here, this is his promise to you.
So what can you do like right now? Here's a super simple 2-step path to get some relief. First, just reflect. Get real with yourself about what pressures you're actually carrying. Second, take action. Pick one, just one of those pressures, and ask a simple question. Did Jesus require this? And if the answer is no, give yourself permission to start loosening your grip. Look, this kind of clarity is the whole reason raw revelation exists. That verse in Hosea, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge," that wasn't written to the world, it was written to the priests, to the insiders. Our entire goal here is to expose false doctrine, not to tear anyone's faith down, but to bring it back to the way Jesus actually taught.
We have a really simple rule around here. It's built on 3 things. First, no tradition is ever above the truth. Second, no system is ever above Scripture. And third, we will not put any demand on you that Jesus himself never placed on people.
So if this helped you at all, please share it. There's probably someone you love who's trapped in this and they just don't know how to say it. And hey, subscribe if truth matters more to you than just staying comfortable. Because that's what we do here. We sow truth the way Jesus taught it, not the way man demands.